Welcome to Mobile Rolling. After the break, it'll be my pleasure to be talking to a legend of the industry and sport, and that'll be Vic Frost.
Here at Valley Horse Transport, our high level of knowledge and experience within the equine industry ensures that your most important and most loved assets are professionally transported with the utmost safety and welfare. Adelaide to Melbourne, Melbourne to Sydney, with reliable connections throughout all states in Australia. With the well-being of your equine companions being of paramount importance, our angle load transport trucks are fully equipped with a full range of safety devices and features. As well as providing professional equine transport, Valley Horse Transport also have multiple stabling facilities located among our routes, ensuring your horse arrives safe and in excellent condition. When the best is only good enough, ring us at Valley Horse Transport on 0499 449 151.
Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. It's my pleasure to have with me Vic Frost. How are you, Vic? Nice day for it?
Yeah, absolutely there, Gary. It's a lovely day.
Right. Well, we'll start at the start because they all know your feats with your champion horses and your driving ability, etc. But let's start. When were you born? What year? Whereabouts were you born? And we'll start from there.
Okay. Well, I was born in 41.
1941, which makes you about
82.
82.
Yep. So, and I was.
Whereabouts were you born?
I lived at Dapto, but I was actually born in Wollongong Hospital.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, and it sort of all started there, and.
How many siblings did you have, Vic?
I had one sister and one brother.
One sister and one brother, right?
Yeah.
So what about your folks? What did they do? Was there coal mines or anything there? Or
Yes, there was coal mines there, but my dad he was a general carrier.
Okay.
Yeah, and sort of done most things, really. He took feed out to the cow cockies, like, the dairy farmers.
Yeah.
Like, and then he'd go back and then he'd pick up the empty bags, because they didn't recycle them, but I suppose you can call it recycling. They used them again,
Yeah.
So he used to go back and pick up the empties. And when he wasn't doing that, he was cutting pit props for the coal mines, in the mountain.
The timber.
Yeah, cut timber props.
Supports, yeah.
Yeah, to put, as they tunnelled in, they had that timber, to kick.
So did your father or mother have any interest in horses, or?
No, not before I got them into it.
So you went to school, and I suppose in those days you thought it was good to get to. What grade did you get to?
To be honest, I don't really know because I didn't do much schooling. I was.
You didn't like it like all of them in those days?
No, it was because I had asthma. And
okay.
Yeah, I'd go to school, in my young days, like in the primary school, and then, morning tea or lunchtime we'd go and have a game of football like kids do, like play area at that time, and I'd chase the ball and I'd only run down the paddock once and there'll be gasping and wheezing, and then the teachers would have to ring up and
take you home.
Yeah, get mum to come and pick me up. And
see, my mum would have left me there. She would have said. No. So what age were you when you left school, and what did you do?
I just forget what age I was, but
were you a teenager or 13?
Well, I was actually 12-year-old when I rode my first winner at Dapto Showground.
Okay, so how did you get into those horses? If you're 12, you just didn't go and ride a winner. What did you do, helping someone out with the stables, or what were you doing?
No, because I was sick most of the time. I used to have a few days of school, and other kids in the street had ponies, and they were jumping over logs, and I thought, oh, gee,
do that?
Yeah, gee, I'd like to do that, Dad, And so anyway, I pestered them enough, Mum and Dad, to
get your pony.
They bought me this pony, but that wasn't a pony; it was a trotter. And anyway, Dad didn't worry about trotter. He just bought this horse off a friend of his. And so anyway, I got it home, and the guy that helps Dad cut the timber props for the mines with him, he used to have trotter or two. And he said my dad's name was George, and this fella's name is Billy Murray. So he said, Bill said, Dad, he said, hey George, he said, that's a trotting breed, that horse you got there, like you bought for Vic. And he said, look, he said, I got some hobbles around there in the shed. He said, do you mind if I come round and put them on? He said, no. He said, go for your life. So anyway, he had a saddle there and hobbles.
How old was that then?
Well, I was probably only about 10 or something, 10 or 11. And I used to ride this horse around. Before that, I used to ride and jump over logs the same as other kids in the street. And then when I started to train this horse, like in this Billy Murray, put the hobbles on, got them right, and I used to train around the oval, the football oval, until I got
So you were riding at that stage?
Oh, yeah, riding, yeah. No, nothing.
No sulkies, no.
No sulky. Just riding in saddle, and I'd be working, and I made a cattle pad. Well, you know what happens if you ride around, it was the oval, the football, so they kicked me off.
You're gone.
They had a big bear.
Bloody Vic Frost.
Yeah, that's what they said. Oh, you're bloody working his horse here. So anyway, they kicked me off. Anyway, I kept sort of going with her, and then the shows come up, and there was like Wollongong show, Unanderra, Albion Park, Dapto, Kangaroo Valley, Nowra, all through there, like, Kiama. And so I used to do the circuit, and then it's only a certain time of the year that happens. So anyway, I just rode this mare all through these places, like, but my first ride was at Dapto. And I'm a skinny, weedy little fella, half dying with asthma. And
40 kilos at the max.
Oh yeah, max. That'll be ringing wet. So it's skinny. And what Dad said, he said, when the steward asked you how old you are, he said, tell him 16, because you had to be 16 to ride.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going around there first day and shitting myself. And anyway, I go, and the steward says, hey son. And it took me half a lap to pull her up. So anyway, I pulled up and come back, and I said, yes, sir. He said, how old are you, son? I said, 16. He said, okay. Next year, he knew bloody well it wasn't
Next
16.
year you're 16 again?
I was still 16. I was 16 for 4 years. But he knew, but he could see that I could handle the horse. And a lot of the farmers and that, because they used to show their cattle and that sort of thing. And they used to tell Dad, they said, oh, gee, that young fella yours, George, he can handle a horse. Like, he's got good head.
And in those days, especially where I come from in South Australia, all the farmers had a horse.
Yes.
There was always a bloke that had a stallion and a few mares, and his mates had a couple of mares and whatever. And those days are gone.
Yeah.
You go to the show and there's always trots. You'd be going around a footy oval.
Yes.
Tighter than you've ever seen in your life. But
Absolutely.
they'd go around there.
Absolutely.
And nowadays, most of the farmers, they've either got out of the game or...
Yeah.
They're either big or not in it at all,
Yeah,
aren't they?
well, it's just, everything's changed, hasn't it? Like,
So when you did that you say 12 for a few years, then you did you breed that mare or anything, or that was just a start and you went on to something else?
No, we didn't breed it. Dad just bought
Yeah, but
her
I'm
in.
just saying, you didn't put her in foal and breed anything out of it, anything?
I don't know what we've done with it, to be honest. But
Was
then,
it just enough to give you the bug, and now you still got it?
Yeah, well, give Dad the bug.
70 years later, you're still doing it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But it got Dad the bug, see, and then Dad started to try. Well, he used to break horses in for the pits.
Yeah.
See, back in them days, there was no cars to bring the coal out to the surface. So they used to drag it out with
little ponies,
poles,
weren't
with
they?
the ponies and that. So Dad used to break those horses in and then sell them to the mines, you see. And that's how it all sort of started. Then they seen how this mare was going, and an owner would say, oh, do you want to train that horse for me, George, And then it sort of... And
snowball from that.
Dad was a very good trainer, like, and he knew nothing.
So did your dad drive as well? Or only train?
Yeah, he did drive a few, a bit. But he only drove until I could sort of drive.
So when did you first become, I suppose in those days you had to be licensed like you do today, but when you sort of you didn't have schools that you went to. You just learnt yourself, didn't
Yes,
you? When
yes.
did you first say to your dad? So you didn't really have a job at all from school to the horses.
I did. I worked
What
in
were
the
you?
coal mine.
In the coal mine.
Yeah, well, I
That's
used
no
to.
good for your asthma. So you're better off to be a horseman.
No, yeah, well, I worked on the surface. I
Okay.
never went inside, only on doublers or something like that, you know.
So when did you start? Where was your first official drive at the trots, as they called in those days, and where was it, and what did you do?
I think it would have been, well, I won 4 races around Newcastle on the old track, not on this new track. It was the old track back in them days. So I won there, and I think Wyong was another place we used to race.
And how old would you been then, Vic?
Oh, I was about 15.
15.
I was,
So were you still working? When did you transition over to? Because you've been a full-time horseman for 50 years plus 60.
Yeah, I actually took on when I was still working at the coal mine. I still worked at the coal mine when I won my first drive at Harold Park. So I had
What year was that? Any idea? How old do you reckon you was?
well, I was 16.
So that would have been
But-
56 or 58 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
I might have been a little boy then.
yeah, but it was.
So your first one at Harold Park.
It was a bit. It was a bit funny how it all sort of turned out. See, the stewards, one of the stewards that was at Harold Park was the steward at Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
But see, in the country, you didn't have to produce a birth certificate. You just put down your age, whatever you want to put down. And
You're an expert at that. You've been doing it for years, Vic. You've been doing it since you were 12.
Yeah. So anyway, Dad puts down 15 as like
Yeah, put the proper date down, I suppose.
So anyway, and then I'd driven these 4 winners, and I'd been driving around the place and Penrith, all that. And when I got to Harold Park, I was down to drive this horse, see, in this race. So anyway, they must have checked up, and they said, "Hey, how long's this kid been driving? What age is he?" See. So anyway, to get a metropolitan licence, you had to have 4 wins in the country before you get a metropolitan licence.
You stamped that one, you got
So,
that.
yeah, so anyway, they said, "How come this kid's been driving for so long?" He said, "He's only barely 16 now." And that's when I should have been starting with them, because I was driving when I was 15. See? So they said, "Oh, call him in." So they called Dad in, see? And anyway, Dad says, "Oh, look, he was born during the war. Look, you know, I lost the ear there somewhere." Bit of bullshit, of course, but anyway, excuse me. And anyway,
they let you drive?
And they brought me in. They said they give me a bit of a dressing down. They
You said, "I don't know then. I'm
you
not
know,
a kid."
you're not really old enough to be driving. I said, "Well, gee, I've been going around. I think I'm driving pretty good, you know." And so anyway, they said, "Listen, we'll let you have the drive tonight. If you go all right, you keep your licence. If you don't, we'll take it off you because you're really not old enough." I go out and I win the race by a head. I've had my licence ever since.
There you go. So that's the story is if you the winners are grinners and the rest doesn't matter.
That was the story, yeah. So
whose horse was that?
that was that horse was Galway Bay. I think he was owned by a guy, Alan McMahon. I think he owned him, and he owned a petrol depot at Unanderra, which is Dapto, and then there's Unanderra, at Unanderra, and then there was Wollongong.
So you've had that grounding before you got into the big stuff.
Yeah.
What happened after that, Vic? So you were at what age? You were you were 15, maybe 16, 16, maybe 15. Used to be 14, maybe 12.
Yeah.
So what did you actually do from there? Did you then say to your dad, "I think I want to do this all the time," or when did that actually kick in that Vic Frost became basically a full-time horse person?
Dad got offered horses because he could see how we were going
as a
and we were
team,
winning races, and we were taking horses off top trainers and then winning races, you know.
They don't like that.
Yeah. So anyway, and that pricked the ears of a lot of owners, and they said, "Oh, will you take this horse? Will you take this horse, George?" You know. So Dad was actually doing the training and the bit of driving, but I was doing the driving where I could, see. And that's how it all unfolded.
Worked out, yeah.
Yeah, and then after Dad, I sort of got going, like, you know, and then I
So at that stage, were you still working in the mines? When did you finish there and become full time?
Well, that was another story. One day I
You were too old.
No, I was still working at the
mine.
At the mine, and but my boss, who was a real good guy, and he knew I had the trotters on the side. See, and I used to work afternoon shift in the mine. I started 2 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night. But they gave me a horse.
With your trots.
No, well, it didn't while I was working them.
But it did when the race was wrong.
Well, Friday night, Harold Park.
They didn't know where you were.
So anyway, what my boss
it still happens today, you know. Different jobs, of course it does.
For sure it would. So anyway, my boss said, Vic, he said, what I can do to keep your bonus, because there was a bonus in them days. The more coal you got out, you got a bonus on top of what they supposed to get. And so to keep your bonus, my boss said, I'll put your Thursday night doubler down as your normal Friday job. And that way, so you have to work your 5 days, otherwise you don't get your bonus, see? So it was anyway, I said, yeah, that was good for a while. Then I go to Harold Park one night and wins on a nice horse, you know.
And it's in the paper.
The next,
That's a guess on it.
Next Monday, you come to work, and here's...
They've all got in the lunchroom.
Here's the Daily Telegraph laid out on the blacksmith's bench, because I was working with the blacksmith. Laid on that, Frost, this young Frost wins this race at Harold Park, like, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Thought he was working.
Yeah, so anyway, my boss calls me in, he said, oh, mate, he said, look, he said...
Stop winning them big races, Vic.
Well, he said, we're going to get caught. He said, I can't do it anymore. You know, he just said, look, he warned me, he said, I can't do that anymore, what I've been doing.
Got to finish up.
So then I had to finish up, see? And then I took on a bread run. Like, you know,
baker's cart.
Yeah, from
like a milk run, but bread, yeah.
Yeah.
On the horse and cart, I used to have one where I was.
Yeah, well, I wasn't on a horse and cart, I had a little band. But anyway, I took that on for about 2 years and I ended up getting a couple of hernias.
So how old were you then? You in your 20s then, or what?
Yeah, no, I'd be 19 or something like or 18. Yeah, 18, 19.
So then you're still really into the horses, but you'd got a job that was...
Yes,
yeah,
and then I ended up having to give the bread run away. I ended up selling that. And, so because I was starting to get going and people were noticing us, you know, and that sort of thing. And then it sort of went from there. Like we got...
Okay, so you're 19, maybe 20. When was your dad still training?
Yep.
When did you take your own stables over, or did you just train out of your dad's place, or did you shift somewhere else? Where were you living at that stage?
Dapto.
At Dapto. So where did you initially start your training and driving as Vic Frost?
At Dapto.
At Dapto. In your own property or at Dad's?
No, well, it was Dad's property to start with, but then Mum and Dad moved to Dubbo. So they sort of sold the property to me and my wife because I got married. And
so what year? When did you? How old when you got married?
I was 23.
23. So that's about when you started on your journey as the Vic Frost that everybody knows. So what we've been talking about is how you got there, and you can see why you got so good because you're a horseman from a young age. And a lot of these people these days they play football or rugby or soccer, and then they go and jog a couple of horses, and all of a sudden they're trainers. So,
trainers and drivers.
So we're at the stage where you're about to embark on Vic Frost, the journey of where you've ended up with your good horses, Westburn, Grant, whatever, right?
Yep.
So what I reckon we'll do, we'll have a break, and this will be the end of part 1, and then we'll go into part 2 when we come back next time. Okay?
Okay, then go. Yeah, sounds good.